Hello everyone, my name is Dirk, and today we're going to be talking about a YouTuber by the name of Kalvin Garrah. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make this video because a lot of people agree with Kalvin Garrah, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for the backlash of Kalvin Garrah stans going into my comment section and being like, ba science or some bullshit. I don't know. But today we are going to get opinionated. Okay? So before we even fucking start, we need to know who the hell Kalvin Garrah is and why. How did it start? What's going on? So, Kalvin Garrah is a transgender YouTuber who currently, in this time frame right now, is 20. He started to share his views on quote unquote transgenders and transmedicalism around 2018. One of his first videos on the subject targeted a non binary trans man who at the time identified as gender fluid. The video commentated on in question was about how said person experienced gender dysphoria and why they identified the way that they did. The video ended up getting a lot of negative attention because of Kalvin Garrah. People ended up going to said person's videos on their channel and harassing them, going as far as to tell them to hurt themselves. Their name is Brennan Beckwith, and they had recently came out with their story and what had happened to them and how it affected their life. Brennan makes genuinely good content, so I recommend you check out his channel, which will be linked in the description. This video is not going to be about that in particular. Brennan talks about that in his own video on Kalvin Garrah, which will also be linked in the description. I personally have my own experiences with this content and how he spreads his views. I started watching him back in 2019. At the time, the only thing in the world I wanted was to look like a boy, and that was literally my only goal. When I hit puberty, I pretty much immediately realized that I hated my body and I wanted to change it. I didn't realize why until almost a year later, but whatever. We stan the dumb king. I found him by watching other trans YouTubers who were making videos about passing. At first, all his videos were fairly okay, and a lot brought a smile to my face. I started to feel a lot more confident in my identity until I saw the video on Brennan, and how they weren't actually trans, supposedly, because of how they dressed and how they experienced dysphoria. In said video, which has now been taken down, Kalvin continuously criticizes and questions their dysphoria with facts and logic, which wasn't true. I'm being sarcastic. This badly affected the way I saw my identity and the way I experienced being transgender. While it is healthy to question your identity and take it into consideration occasionally, and to really think about it and what you really want, it gets turned into a much worse experience when you feel as if your identity is wrong or causing some sort of harm to quote-unquote actual trans people. For some time, I did not come across any more content like this, and I started to feel better, But then I started to see more videos with titles like Crazy Trans Trender or Transgender TikTok Cringe or Trendercore Cringe. A video that specifically stands out in my mind, in my tiny little baby brain, is one where he saw a trans person on Instagram who I think identified as a demi-boy, and they presented femininely and did not, quote unquote, pass as male. Upon finding this, Kalvin Garrah decided to DM this person and ask them questions about their gender identity. Although I did not realize this at the time, I now know that it was none of his fucking business. Because he had put the idea in my tiny little baby brain that other people were entitled to understand my gender identity, and that if it didn't make sense, that I was allowed to be criticized for it, led me to constantly feeling like I'm not trans enough. Whenever I didn't feel dysphoric, I felt fucking awful. I felt like my existence was a mockery of the trans community, and that I should be punished for it. I felt like identifying in the way that matches the way I felt hurt the trans community, and it led to a lot of unneeded pain. Trans people's identities should not be determined by how much pain they are in, and should rather be determined by what makes them happy or feel at ease with themselves. Yes, a trans person can go through a lot of pain. Yes, a trans person can strongly dislike their body. But that doesn't mean people who experience less pain or who aren't upset with their bodies shouldn't have the right to be happy or call themselves whatever makes them happy. The idea that you have to suffer to be trans, the idea that you owe cisgender people an explanation, the idea that you owe the world gender conformity as a trans person, the idea that anyone has the right to question your identity hurts trans people more than it helps them. Basically, what I'm trying to get across is Calvin doesn't understand that trans people can be like fucking different. There's all types of different dysphoria, there's all types of different gender identities, and ways that you can feel about your gender and your gender presentation. For some reason, that's too hard for Calvin's little baby brain to process. And that's why the way he tries to help the trans community doesn't fucking work. It makes everything worse. It makes people feel like they're allowed to fucking criticize trans people for being trans. It makes the trans and queer kids who are confused and lost who happen to look into Kalvin Garrah's content feel less than human, and like the way they feel genuinely hurts trans people when that simply isn't the case. And any trans kids who may be watching this video, no matter how quote unquote strange your experience may be, does not make you any lesser. Not feeling as the same as the normal, perfectly binary trans people does not make you any less trans. Everyone should be encouraged to be themselves and do whatever, no matter fucking what, you know? It's not up to Kalvin Garrah to decide if you're trans or not. You should not be looking to Kalvin Garrah to figure out, am I trans enough? Am I hurting people? Because you're not hurting people. Kalvin needs to suck up the fact that people are going to identify differently based off how they feel. However you may feel about your gender is completely fine, and you don't owe anyone else shit in relation to your gender identity. And since Kalvin is a trans person himself who's experienced complex feelings about his gender identity in the past, seeing as he's changed from female to non-binary to male and all of that hubba bubba, it should be really fucking easy to understand where I'm coming from. Or maybe not. It's whatever. Anywho, this was my first stab in like a year of the kind of content I felt like I wanted to make for a while. From now on, this is probably going to be the kind of content I do. Make sure to let me know by leaving a tiny little itty bitty like on this video, or maybe typing out a comment, or subscribing to let me know that you like this kind of content. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thanks for sticking to the end and listen to my annoying voice. I might re-record this, but this is like my 39th time trying to record this. I'm sorry if I sound awkward. I need to learn how to talk. But anyways, have a wonderful day, y'all. That's gonna be it for today. Bye.